The champagne flute feels cold in my hand, a stark contrast to the heat coiling in my gut. I stand in the shadows, a ghost at my own family's annual charity gala. This is my second life, the one they don't know I'm living. Up on the dais, my cousin Elise, radiant in stolen glory, announces the expansion of the family business, our family business, using my stolen inheritance. The clinking of glasses is a mocking symphony, each chime a nail digging into my palms. The air, thick with expensive perfume, carries the bitter taste of betrayal all the way to the back of my throat. I watch them, my aunts, uncles, distant cousins. Faces I once associated with laughter, with holidays, with a sense of belonging. The same faces that attended my funeral probably shed a few crocodile tears and then seamlessly moved on. Now they're lauding Elise's genius business acumen, if they only knew. My phone vibrates against my thigh, a silent notification. Acquisition complete. Chen Imports, a key supplier to their precious company. A small smile plays on my lips. Congratulations on the expansion, Elise, I say, stepping out of the shadows. My voice is smooth, measured. I've practiced this. My smile is calculated, a perfect blend of polite interest and subtle challenge. I look forward to working with you. Her eyes, so like my own, widen almost imperceptibly. The first thing I remember is the sterile smell of antiseptic and the beeping of machines. I woke up in a hospital bed, my body a canvas of agony. It took days for the fog to clear, for the pieces to fall into place, the accident, and then the chilling realization they thought I was dead, my own family. A memory, sharp and cruel, sliced through the pain. My sister Miranda and Elise, their voices hushed but venomous, in the library just days before. The breaks, a steep hill. It'll look like a tragic accident. My own sister, my own cousin. In that hospital bed, something shifted. The grief was there, a raw, gaping wound. But beneath it, a new, harder emotion began to form. Determination. I would stay dead. I would let them believe their monstrous plan had succeeded. And I would plot. Every painful stretch in physical therapy, every grimace as scars tightened, was fueled by that singular purpose. The taste in my mouth was metallic, like blood and resolve. My only ally was Martha, our former housekeeper, bless her loyal soul. She took me in, no questions asked, her home becoming my sanctuary, my war room. She helped me craft a new identity from the ashes of the old. The first time I saw my own obituary, the carefully worded sentiments of loss, the subtle relief woven between the lines, it solidified my path. Alexandra Thorne was dead. Lexa Hart was about to be born. Now, I am Lexa Hart. On paper, a young, ambitious entrepreneur making quiet waves in the tech and logistics industry. Phoenix Industries, they call it. Apt, don't you think? Rising from the ashes. Secretly, my company has been acquiring assets like a silent predator, assets critical to the Thorne family empire. They don't recognize me. The accident, or rather their attempted murder, necessitated extensive facial reconstruction. A new face for a new life. Tonight's gala is the first time I'm seeing them all gathered in one glittering, oblivious herd since they tried to kill me. In a hidden storage unit, safe and sound, lies the evidence. Meticulously gathered proof of their fraud, the systematic siphoning of my inheritance that started long before they'd decided a car crash was a cleaner solution. The weight of the business card in my pocket is a comforting pressure. Lexa Hart, CEO, Phoenix Industries. My gaze sweeps across the room, landing on Miranda, my sister. Her eyes meet mine, a flicker of nothing. Just a polite, dismissive glance for a stranger. Good, let her think that. A prickle on my neck. I'm being watched. Not with the casual curiosity of the other guests, but with an intensity that sets my teeth on edge. I turn slowly. It's Mr. Henderson, my father's former personal assistant. His brow is furrowed, a look of dawning, unwelcome recognition in his eyes. He's pushing through the crowd, heading straight for me. "Excuse me," he says, his voice low, a little too close. "Have we met before? Something about you seems familiar." My heart hammers against my ribs. The jasmine perfume. My signature scent. The one I couldn't bring myself to give up. A tiny, foolish link to a past I'm supposed to have buried. Under the bright, unforgiving glare of the ballroom chandeliers, I feel suddenly exposed, stripped bare. Panic, retreat, confront? My mind races, 1,000 scenarios flashing by in a microsecond. Then, his phone rings. A shrill, insistent sound that cuts through the din. He glances at it, annoyance flickering across his face. As he answers, his expression shifts. Confusion. Then, alarm. Perfect timing, my first little sabotage. A carefully orchestrated disruption in their supply chain, courtesy of Chen Imports. He ends the call, his eyes darting back to me, the earlier suspicion now tinged with something else. Respect? Fear? "Excuse me, Miss Hart," he says, his voice even lower now, almost a whisper. "But I believe we have a mutual interest we should discuss. In private." My mind is a whirlwind. Has he figured it out? Is my cover blown already? Or is this an unexpected opportunity? An ally in the snake pit? The leather of the chair in Mr. Albright's office feels cool against my skin. He was my father's lawyer, a man I'd known since I was a child. He still doesn't know Alexandra Thorne is alive. As Lexa Hart, I'm here under the pretext of exploring potential business collaborations. "Your father," Mr. Albright says, peering at me over his spectacles, "was a brilliant man. His will was very clear, everything to Alexandra. He trusted her implicitly." A pang, sharp and unexpected. Father. He'd signed that will less than a year before his own suspicious death. He never imagined he'd be gone so soon. He never imagined the vipers he'd raised or married into. A flashback, unbidden. My 18th birthday. Miranda, older by 5 years, her smile tight as she handed me a beautifully wrapped gift. The jealousy always simmered beneath the surface, a constant low hum. She was the firstborn, yet she always felt like the spare. And Elise, my dear cousin. Her friendship, so carefully cultivated, now revealed for what it was. Reconnaissance. Every shared secret, every whispered confidence, a weapon she'd stored away. Then there was Vernon Holloway, father's business partner. Smooth, avuncular Vernon, who'd suggested the trust fund arrangement that, in his words, would protect Alexandra's inheritance. Protect it? He'd made it vulnerable, a ripe fruit ready for plucking. And Mother, lost in a haze of alcohol and grief after father's death, her emotional absence had been a different kind of betrayal, leaving me exposed, unprotected. I remember birthday parties, Christmas mornings, the charade of a loving family. The bitter taste of it now coats my tongue. All lies. There were inconsistencies, Mr. Albright says, pulling me back to the present. He shuffles some papers on his desk. In the accident report, things I could never quite reconcile. I've kept them quiet, of course, out of respect for the family's privacy during their time of grief. He pauses, his gaze sharp. But now, my heart quickens. What did he know? The glow of my laptop screen illuminates my face in the darkened room. Olivia's social media feed. Page after page of smiling selfies, parties, promotions. And there, nestled amongst the aspirational hashtags, a picture of her at the Thorne Industries annual retreat. She works for them now, my former best friend. I remember crying on her shoulder, pouring out my fears about Miranda's resentment, about Elise's unnerving ambition. Olivia, always so understanding, so comforting. "Don't worry, Alex," she'd said, stroking my hair. "They're just stressed. It'll all blow over." All the while, she was a viper in my bosom, reporting every word back to Miranda. I found the emails later, after I became Lexa. Proof. Olivia actively helping Miranda spread rumors about my erratic behavior, my mental instability in the months leading up to the accident. Laying the groundwork, making it all seem plausible. Her current promotion, vice president of marketing, timed almost perfectly with my death. A reward for services rendered. I sit in my car, parked across the street from the Thorne Industries building. The rain drums a relentless rhythm on the windshield, a soundtrack to the anger pulsing in my veins. And then I see her. Olivia exiting the building, laughing, arm in arm with Miranda. They look so happy, so carefree. Suddenly, Olivia stops. Her head tilts. She's looking directly at my car, her smile falters. She pulls out her phone, angles it, and snaps a picture. The license plate. My breath catches. Does she suspect? Or is it just a random precaution in their increasingly paranoid world? The discovery felt like a fresh stab to the heart, even after everything else. James, my James, now engaged to Elise. The announcement was tasteful, of course, a smiling photo in the society pages. A joyous union for two prominent families, a memory, cold and clear. James, just weeks before the accident, his voice earnest, concerned. Alex, darling, perhaps you should think about updating your will, just in case. You could include me, as your fiancé. I'd dismissed it then, a morbid but perhaps understandable thought given the Thorne family's wealth. Now it felt sinister. I'd found photos online. James at the family estate, just days after my funeral. Looking somber, yes, but also comfortable, too comfortable. He was already moving on, or perhaps had already moved in. The velvet box sits in my safe, inside the engagement ring he'd given me. I'd returned it anonymously, of course, but I kept a replica, a reminder. Tonight, I see them. James and Elise at a trendy downtown restaurant. His hand rests on the small of her back, proprietorial, familiar. The exact same way it once rested on mine. The scent of his cologne, the one I'd bought him for his birthday, wafts towards me as I deliberately brush past their table on my way to the powder room. A calculated risk. He turns, his eyes widen. A flicker of confusion, then recognition? No, it couldn't be, but he's looking, staring. As I walk out of the restaurant, cool night air on my face, I hear his voice. Wait! I don't look back, I just keep walking. The numbers don't lie. Thorne Industries was being hollowed out from the inside, long before they decided I was an inconvenience. I sit in my secure office surrounded by encrypted files, financial statements, internal memos, systematic embezzlement. Millions siphoned off over years. Father's death, officially a heart attack. But now, looking at these timelines, at the transactions he was starting to question just weeks before he died, it seems less like a tragedy and more like a convenient silencing. Miranda's signature, bold, arrogant, on document after document authorizing illegal transfers to offshore accounts. And Elise. Her old computer, recovered from storage, contained files she thought she'd deleted. A detailed plan to frame me if the fraud was ever discovered. They were going to pin it all on Alexandra Thorne. My accident must have seemed like a much neater solution. The thumb drive in my hand feels heavy, a dense concentration of their greed and betrayal. All the evidence I need. I arranged a secret meeting, Mr. Davies, one of the few honest board members, a man loyal to my father's original vision. He'd suspected something was amiss for months, but had no proof. I provided it. Later that night, my phone buzzes. An anonymous message. A grainy security camera image of me and Davies talking in that discreet coffee shop. And beneath it, a single line. I know who you are. A chill runs down my spine. My new assistant, Sarah, so efficient, so eager to please, too good to be true, and she was. It started with small things. A slip of the tongue here, a piece of information reaching my competitors there. Little leaks in my carefully constructed defenses. Then, the hollow feeling. The sudden, sickening realization that conversations in my office, my private office, might have been overheard, recorded. I swept my apartment myself. Found it tucked behind a bookshelf. A tiny, sophisticated listening device. The metallic reflection of its lens caught my eye, glinting like a malevolent stare. The confrontation was quiet. I laid the bug on her desk. Sarah didn't even try to deny it. Vernon Holloway hired me, she said, her voice flat, devoid of emotion. He wanted to know everything about Lexa Hart. Who she was, what she was planning. She looked at me then, a flicker of something, pity, fear, in her eyes. They'll never let you win, They have too much to lose. My blood ran cold. Vernon. Of course. He was always the puppet master, pulling strings from the shadows. Then Sarah leaned forward. But I can help you, she whispered. I can tell you what they're planning. I can be your eyes and ears inside. A double agent. The offer hung in the air, heavy with risk. Could I trust her? Could I afford not to? In this game of shadows, who was truly an ally? And who was just another viper waiting to strike? The news article pops up on my feed, a garish headline, accompanied by a smiling photo of Miranda and Elise. Thorne family honors Alexandra's legacy with new charitable foundation. My stomach churns. They're liquidating my favorite childhood charity, the Children's Haven, the one I poured my heart and soul into. In my memory. The reality I discover through discreet inquiries is far uglier. They're repurposing the funds, or rather, the significant tax breaks from dissolving the old charity and starting a new hollow foundation, into a convenient tax shelter, all while basking in the glow of public adoration for their generosity. The media is eating it up. The children, the ones who depended on the Children's Haven for after-school programs, for meals, for a safe place, abandoned. The thought makes me physically ill. I attend the press conference, a face in the crowd, unrecognized. The applause for their heartfelt speeches echoes in my ears, a hollow mocking sound. They're even giving themselves some kind of humanitarian award, and then Vernon, smug and self-satisfied, steps up to the podium. And to receive this award on behalf of the Thorne family, he announces, his voice booming, a dear friend, a man who knew and loved Alexandra, Mr. James Ashton. James, my ex-fiancé, stepping into the spotlight looking suitably mournful, ready to accept accolades for their despicable charade. The audacity is breathtaking. A week later, as Lexa Hart, I extend an invitation, a carefully worded email proposing a meeting with Miranda Thorne. Partnership opportunities. The bait is taken almost immediately. We meet in her opulent office, the one that should have been mine. I offer my congratulations on their wonderful humanitarian work. I talk about synergy, about shared values. The metallic taste of forced smiles is almost unbearable, but I play my part. Lexa, your insights are invaluable, Miranda gushes, clearly flattered by the attention from the rising star of Phoenix Industries. We'd be honored if you'd consider contributing to the new foundation. I'd be delighted, I say, my voice smooth as silk. She even invites me to dinner at the family home. Thorne Manor. Walking through those halls again, halls that hold so many memories, both beautiful and bitter, is a surreal experience. The familiar creak of the third stair on the grand staircase. I deliberately step on it, a tiny, secret acknowledgement of the life they tried to erase. Miranda hands me a drink. For a horrifying split second, as our fingers brush, the word sister almost slips from my tongue. I catch myself, my smile unwavering, but my heart thunders a warning. Too close. Be careful. While Lexa Hart was charming Miranda Thorne, Alexandra Thorne was busy. Through a series of shell companies, untraceable and discreet, Phoenix Industries acquired the liquidated assets of the Children's Haven. Pennies on the dollar thanks to the Thorne family's eagerness to dissolve it. I met with Mrs. Davison, the former director of the Haven, a kind, dedicated woman left heartbroken by its closure. Her joy, her disbelief, when I told her my plan was a balm to my own wounded soul. We would restart operations under a new name with a new anonymous benefactor, me. An untraceable donation reinstated all the programs, hired back the staff. The children would not be abandoned. During one of my friendly meetings with Vernon, ostensibly to discuss Phoenix Industries supporting their new sham foundation, I left a micro-recorder running. His boasts, his cynical admission of the real purpose behind the liquidation, a tax dodge pure and simple, were captured perfectly. The satisfaction of signing the documents in my private office, blinds drawn against the city lights, was immense. The smell of fresh ink on the contracts, finalizing the rebirth of the Haven under the cloak of moonlight, felt like true justice. A news alert pings on my phone. I'm having lunch with Miranda, discussing collaborative PR strategies. I glance down. Miracle for City Kids. Mysterious benefactor resurrects beloved children's charity. I look up, smiling sweetly at my sister. Something good, Lexa? She asks. Oh, yes, I reply, something very good indeed. The story explodes. The juxtaposition is too perfect, too damning. One week, the Thorne family is lauded for their generosity in Alexandra's name. The next, an anonymous hero saves the very charity they'd callously discarded. The media, smelling blood, starts digging. My carefully leaked recording of Vernon's candid remarks about tax shelters finds its way to the right investigative journalist. The tone of the article shifts dramatically. Questions are asked, serious questions. Tax authorities announce an investigation into the Thorne Family Foundation. The humanitarian award suddenly looks tarnished. I watch via the discreet security feed I still have access to at Thorne Manor, a relic of my past life, never disabled. As Miranda panics, she throws her phone across the room, calls an emergency family meeting. The sound of a wine glass shattering against a wall is immensely satisfying. James, ever the pragmatist, suggests they blame the misunderstanding on some lower-level employee. Elise is in tears. Vernon is apoplectic. My phone rings. Miranda, desperate. Lexa, we need your help, your PR expertise. This is a terrible misunderstanding, a smear campaign. An anonymous message, encrypted and untraceable, is delivered to the Thorne family lawyer. More revelations are forthcoming unless a full public apology is issued and restitution made to the children's haven. Let them squirm. The Thorne family scrambles. It's chaos. Beautiful chaos. Elise gives a tearful television interview claiming they were misled about the financial implications. Vernon, predictably, tries to bribe journalists to bury the story, but the scandal is too big now, too public. Miranda calls me again and again. Her voice messages are a symphony of desperation. She offers Phoenix Industries a lucrative partnership, anything to get Lexa Hart on their side, to help salvage their shredded reputation. I attend an emergency board meeting of the Thorne Family Foundation as Lexa Hart, an interested investor and potential philanthropic partner. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife. They eye me with a mixture of hope and suspicion. At a subsequent charity event, one they were practically forced to attend to maintain appearances, James corners me. Lexa, he murmurs, his voice low and intimate. Perhaps we could discuss a private arrangement, something mutually beneficial. The nerve of this man. I feel a coldness spread through my chest as I watch their frantic, desperate attempts to claw their way out of the pit they've dug for themselves. Later, from my informant within Thorne Industries, Sarah, proving her worth, I learned that Olivia, my treacherous former best friend, showed Miranda an old photo. A candid shot of Alexandra Thorne, laughing, head thrown back. Olivia pointed to the picture, then to a recent press photo of Lexa Hart. "Don't you see it, Miranda?" she'd whispered. "The resemblance. It's uncanny." The game, it seems, is about to get more interesting. The announcement hits the financial news like a lead balloon. Thorne Industries is selling off its non-core assets. Among them, the Advanced Technologies Division, my pet project. The division I'd built from the ground up, pouring years of my life, my innovative designs into its success. Now, it's being sold to a cut-rate competitor, notorious for asset stripping. My projects, my legacy, dismantled for a quick, desperate injection of cash. Loyal employees, people who worked alongside me, who believed in my vision, are being terminated. Their faces, flashed briefly in a news report about the sale, are etched with betrayal and uncertainty. A burning sensation tightens my chest. Publicly, the family, through their new PR firm, not mine, I'd politely declined after the charity fiasco, attributes the company's struggles to poor decisions made by previous leadership. A thinly veiled swipe at me, at Alexandra Thorne. The irony is almost too much to bear. As Lexa Hart, consultant, I visit the old offices of the Advanced Technologies Division. Elise has already redecorated my former office. The scent of her cloying perfume hangs heavy in the air, a nauseating replacement for the familiar aroma of coffee and innovation. She shows me the sale agreement, the plans for the handover, and then I see it. Buried in an appendix, a list of intellectual property being transferred. My proprietary designs. Designs I developed before my death, patents still held in my name, Alexandra Thorne. Patents they clearly, fatally overlooked. This is a difficult transition, I understand, I say to Miranda, my voice dripping with carefully feigned sympathy. As Lexa Hart, I offer the resources of Phoenix Industries to help with the transition. A gesture of goodwill, of course. I sit through endless meetings, listening to their justifications, their plans for dismantling what I built. I appear sympathetic, nodding, offering token advice. I even propose to hire some of the displaced employees from the Advanced Technologies Division, positioning it as a philanthropic gesture from a concerned fellow industry leader. The rage simmers beneath a carefully constructed facade of calm professionalism. The measured cadence of my voice is a shield. I agree to help coordinate the transfer of intellectual property. They're so grateful, so relieved that Lexa Hart is on their side. During one particularly tense meeting in Miranda's office, she's agitated, pacing. I reach into my purse for a pen and accidentally drop a small leather-bound photo frame. It slides across the polished mahogany table, landing face up in front of her. A picture of me, Alexandra, with our father, smiling years ago, before everything. Miranda picks it up, her brow furrows. A flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Puzzlement. Disquiet. She hands it back, her fingers brushing mine. You dropped this, Lexa. Thank you, I say, my expression neutral. The seed is planted, the patents. My beautiful, overlooked patents. Alexandra Thorne's revenge, lying dormant in dusty legal files. I activate a forgotten clause, one my father's lawyers had insisted on, regarding rights reversion under specific conditions of sale or misuse. Conditions Thorne Industries, in their desperation, had just spectacularly met. I meet with the CEO of a different competitor, a reputable firm known for innovation, not asset stripping. We negotiate a secret licensing agreement. Phoenix Industries, through another shell corporation, grants them exclusive rights to improved versions of my original designs. Designs that will render the technology Thorne Industries just sold practically obsolete. The icing on the cake? A hidden kill switch embedded deep within the core software of the systems the Thorne family believes they now own clear title to. A backdoor only I know. I recruit key employees, the ones laid off by Thorne Industries, the brilliant minds who helped me build those systems. They know its weaknesses, its vulnerabilities, and their loyalty is now firmly with Lexa Hart. The soft click of my laptop closing echoes in the silent, moonlit office. The final coded message is sent. The trap is set. An alert flashes on my secure comms device. Thorne Industries is doing a major client demonstration of their newly acquired, soon-to-be obsolete technology. And right on schedule, the system has begun to fail, catastrophically. It's a bloodbath. Major clients, witnessing the spectacular system failures during live demonstrations, are canceling contracts in droves. The stock price of Thorne Industries, already battered, plummets into freefall. News spreads like wildfire through the financial sector, technical failures, unreliable systems, a company in meltdown. James, who had publicly championed the acquisition of the Advanced Technologies Division as a strategic masterstroke, is grilled by financial reporters. His carefully curated image of a savvy businessman shatters, and the cascade of notification sounds on my phone is music to my ears. News alerts, frantic messages from my moles within Thorne Industries, gleeful updates from the competitor I've secretly partnered with. Thorne Industries' emergency technology team, the one hastily assembled after gutting my original division, is failing to resolve the issues. They can't, because only I understand the true nature of the problem. Only Alexandra Thorne knows how to fix it. The smell of fresh coffee fills my office. I watch the chaos unfold on a live news stream, a small, satisfied smile playing on my lips. Then, the ultimate irony. A news anchor reporting on the crisis says, industry insiders are speculating that Thorne Industries may need to bring in outside expertise to salvage the situation. Names like Lexa Hart of Phoenix Industries are being mentioned as a potential savior for their escalating technical crisis. Oh, this is going to be good, and my phone doesn't stop ringing. Miranda, her voice hoarse with panic, practically begging Lexa Hart for technical assistance. Lexa, please, you're the only one who understands this kind of technology. We'll give you anything. A board position? Whatever you want. Vernon Holloway, ever the opportunist, calls next. He suggests a more formal partnership. Phoenix Industries and Thorne Industries working together. A substantial equity stake for you, Lexa. Think about it. We could be very powerful together. His voice is smooth, oily, but the desperation is unmistakable. Even Elise makes an appearance, a fumbling, awkward apology for her previous dismissive treatment of Lexa Hart. We didn't realize your expertise, Lexa. We were wrong. I let their voice messages play on speaker in my empty, soundproofed office, savoring the panic, the fear. They offer Lexa Hart access to all their systems, all their data, in a desperate bid to get her to fix the mess. They are unwittingly handing me the keys to the kingdom, total control. The sensation of the plush, expensive carpet under my feet as I walk into the Thorn Industries boardroom is a delicious irony. I'm no longer a consultant, an interested party. I'm their invited savior. The prodigal daughter, returned in disguise to rescue the family who tried to destroy her. Vernon pulls me aside as the emergency meeting is about to begin. His eyes, magnified by his thick glasses, bore into mine. He leans in close, his voice a low, venomous whisper. I know exactly who you are, Alexandra. My blood turns to ice. Vernon's words hang in the air, a chilling confirmation of my deepest fear. He knows, and he's not about to let me win. Don't look so surprised, Alexandra, he murmurs, a predatory smile playing on his lips. Or should I say, Lexa, clever girl, but not clever enough. He threatens to expose my identity, to unravel everything I've built, unless I surrender control of Phoenix Industries, unless I play by his rules. His plan is audacious. Once Lexa Hart saves Thorn Industries from the technical crisis she engineered, Vernon will announce his own ascent to the CEO position. He'll be the hero, the one who orchestrated the turnaround with Lexa Hart as his compliant subordinate partner. And then, the most sickening discovery, pieced together from Sarah's intel and my own deepening investigation. Vernon wasn't just a facilitator of the inheritance theft. He was the mastermind, the architect of it all. Evidence begins to surface, shadowy connections, whispers in the financial underworld pointing to an even darker truth. Vernon orchestrated not only my accident, but my father's death as well. The harsh, fluorescent light of my office reflects off Vernon's glasses in a press photo from years ago, making him look like a lurking spider. He's been playing a long game. The weight of his hand on my shoulder at a subsequent public event, a supposed display of unity between Thorn Industries and Phoenix, feels like a brand. A new message arrives on my encrypted phone. Photos. Grainy, long-lens shots of me meeting with Martha, my beloved former housekeeper, the only person who knows my full story. The message is simple. We know all your secrets. Cooperate, or everyone you care about will suffer. I appear to capitulate. Publicly, Lexa Hart expresses full confidence in Vernon Holloway's leadership. At a hastily convened press conference, I stand beside him, a picture of serene cooperation, as he outlines his vision for the renewed partnership between Thorn Industries and Phoenix. I even agree, with apparent reluctance but ultimate compliance, to sign over certain key patents from Phoenix Industries as a gesture of good faith. The tension in my shoulders is a solid ache as I sit in the Thorn family office, the same room where my fate was once sealed, and seemingly surrendered to Vernon's demands. He's smug, triumphant. You're making the wise choice, Lexa, he says, pouring 2 glasses of expensive scotch. The bitter aroma fills the air. He wants to tour Phoenix Industries headquarters to see the assets he believes he's about to control. I extend the invitation, my smile never wavering. During his tour, I accidentally leave my personal laptop open on my desk. On the screen, a half-written email, seemingly to my lawyer, expressing fears about Vernon, hinting at my true identity, Alexandra Thorn, and my concerns about his past actions. Just enough to make him think I'm scared, that I'm considering exposing myself, that he still holds all the cards. Let him believe he's a step ahead. Vernon may be a puppet master, but he underestimated his puppet. Every conversation, every threat, every boastful confession he's made to Lexa Hart since that moment in the boardroom has been recorded. High-quality audio, crystal-clear video. While Vernon was preening, I was meeting with federal investigators. The case I've been building against the Thorn family for financial fraud has now expanded, deepened, to include corporate espionage, extortion, and potentially murder. Vernon Holloway is the star of this particular show. The final pieces of evidence against the entire conspiracy are being compiled, cross-referenced, and prepared for indictment. My team, loyal and brilliant, works in the shadows, typing final command sequences, executing complex legal maneuvers. Hidden transfers of controlling shares in key Thorne subsidiary companies, acquired through Phoenix Industries' network of shell corporations, are being finalized. My father's true allies, the ones who suspected foul play from the beginning, are finally seeing their patience rewarded. I'm in Martha's warm, comforting kitchen, the scent of freshly baked bread filling the air. We're finalizing contingency plans, ensuring her safety above all else. She clasps my hand, her eyes shining with pride and a touch of fear. "Be careful, my child," she whispers. Across the gleaming mahogany conference table at Phoenix Industries, Vernon is outlining his demands, his vision for our joint future. I smile, a genuine cold smile. My secure phone vibrates. A single word from my legal team. "Warrants? They're coming for him." The shareholder meeting is in full swing. Vernon is on the podium, oozing confidence, outlining the strategic restructuring that will see him take the helm. Then, the doors at the back of the grand ballroom swing open. Federal agents, calm, implacable, they move through the stunned silence. News crews, tipped off by an anonymous source, me, are already outside, cameras rolling. The story breaks in real time. Massive fraud investigation at Thorne Industries. CEO Vernon Holloway implicated. The lead agent reads the charges. Racketeering, securities fraud, conspiracy. The evidence of Vernon's involvement in my father's death and my own attempted murder, while not yet part of this specific warrant, hangs in the air, an unspoken promise of more to come. Gasps echo through the conference room. Miranda sways, her face ashen, then collapses into her chair as the full extent of the revelations hits her. The flash of cameras is relentless as Vernon, his face a mask of disbelief and fury, is escorted from the building in handcuffs. After the chaos subsides, after the room has emptied, I stand alone in the Thorne Industries boardroom. My phone buzzes. A text message from a restricted number. "Vernon. This isn't over, Alexandra." I delete it without a reply. The rats are deserting the sinking ship. Faced with irrefutable evidence and the prospect of lengthy prison sentences, family members and former associates begin turning on each other, desperate to cut deals with the prosecutors. Elise, confronted with recordings of her own complicity, breaks down during questioning. She confesses everything: the inheritance scheme, the plan to frame me, her knowledge of Vernon's darker dealings. James, ever the survivor, reaches out through his lawyer, offering to testify against everyone else in exchange for immunity. Miranda appears at my office at Phoenix Industries. Not Lexa Hart's office, my office. The nameplate on the door now reads Alexandra Thorne, CEO. She looks older, broken. The fight has gone out of her. "Alexandra?" she whispers, her voice trembling. Her eyes finally see me. We thought you were dead?" The words are a pathetic excuse, not an explanation. The crushing silence of my City View apartment is broken only by the murmur of the news coverage detailing their downfall. Alone, but not lonely. Vindicated. Then an invitation. Delivered by a shaken, deferential family lawyer. An emergency family meeting. To discuss the future, to make amends. Amends. After everything, the audacity is still there, even in their ruin. They're gathered in the Thorne Manor Library, the same room where Miranda and Elise plotted my demise. What's left of the family? Miranda, pale and trembling. Elise, red-eyed and hollow. My mother, looking bewildered, aged beyond her years. Even James is there, hovering awkwardly near the door, a vulture circling what he imagines might be the last scraps. They expect what? Forgiveness? A bailout? They still don't understand who they're dealing with. "Thank you for coming," I begin, my voice calm, measured. I let the silence stretch, savoring their discomfort. Then, I lay the documents on the polished mahogany table. Ownership deeds, share certificates, complex financial agreements. "While you were all preoccupied," I say, a hint of steel in my tone, "Phoenix Industries was also busy. We've spent the last few years making certain strategic acquisitions. I explain it slowly, deliberately. The complex web of shell companies, the silent buyouts, the leveraging of their debt. Phoenix Industries, my creation, now controls the parent company of all remaining Thorne family assets. Every last stock, every last property, every last dollar. I also took the liberty, I add, my gaze sweeping over their stunned faces, of reclaiming my original inheritance. The funds Vernon so cleverly tried to hide, they're back where they belong. Hidden offshore accounts meticulously traced and recovered. A stunned silence descends, broken only by the drumming of rain against the tall library windows. The tension in the room is a living thing, coiling, tightening. Slowly, deliberately, I reach up and remove the subtle facial prosthetics that have helped shield my identity for so long. The slight alteration to my jawline, the fractional change to the bridge of my nose. Small changes, but enough to create doubt to keep them guessing. Now there is no doubt. Alexandra Thorne is here, in the flesh. The scent of my signature jasmine perfume, the one I never abandoned, suddenly seems to fill the room, a ghostly reminder of the past they tried to bury. Elise gasps. Miranda stares, her mouth agape. My security chief's voice crackles in my discreet earpiece. Miss Thorne, security alert, perimeter breach. It's Vernon. He's somehow bypassed the initial lockdown. He's on the grounds. Vernon, he always was a cockroach. Vernon is persistent, I say, my voice betraying none of the sudden alertness coursing through me. But then, so am I. I let them absorb the shock of Vernon's escape. Then I continue, my tone shifting. You see, my death and subsequent rebirth weren't entirely unsupported. I glance around the room, meeting each of their gazes. My father was a man of many secrets and many loyal friends. Friends who suspected foul play after his untimely passing. Friends who were watching when you all celebrated my funeral a little too enthusiastically. I speak of a powerful international consortium, a network of influential figures my father had cultivated over decades. Business leaders, political figures, old money dynasties. They operate in the shadows, a silent force for their own interests mostly. But my father had earned their loyalty. They protected me after the accident, I explain. They provided the resources for my recovery, for the creation of Lexa Hart, for the building of Phoenix Industries. They facilitated everything. The weight of this new revelation settles upon them, crushing any remaining hope they might have harbored. They weren't just fighting Alexandra Thorne, the wronged heiress. They were up against a global power structure they couldn't even comprehend. Father suspected betrayal. I continue, my voice softening slightly. He had contingency plans, a letter entrusted to these allies, to be opened in the event of his death if I was also incapacitated. I reach into my briefcase and produce a heavy vellum envelope, sealed with my father's distinctive signet ring. It entrusts his entire empire, his legacy, to me, and it names those he suspected might try to harm us. Vernon's name is prominent. As I speak, the subtle hum of advanced security systems, newly installed throughout Thorne Manor by my own team, becomes almost audible. The gleam of an exclusive consortium ring, a symbol of membership and power, is now visible on my hand. I wear it openly, a declaration. My earpiece crackles again. Miss Thorne, Vernon has breached internal security. He's heading towards the West Wing, towards the study. My father's study. Of course, I find him there in my father's favorite room, surrounded by the books and artifacts that spoke of a life of intellect and influence. Vernon looks feral, desperate. He's no longer the smooth, controlled puppet master. He's a cornered animal. Alexandra! He snarls, his eyes darting around the room, perhaps looking for an escape route or a weapon. You think you've won? You think your powerful friends can protect you from everything? He lunges, not for me, but for my father's antique desk. He fumbles with a hidden drawer, pulling out a small, leather-bound ledger. I have my own leverage, you see. Your precious consortium isn't as clean as it pretends to be. Illegal activities, Alexandra. Things that could bring them all crashing down, and you with them. He waves the ledger triumphantly. Surrender everything, or I expose them all. I almost laugh. Vernon, 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 I say, shaking my head. Always one more trick, one more threat. I hold up my own phone. While you were busy plotting your grand expose, I was busy ensuring your complete and utter ruin. I play the recording, Vernon, in his own voice, detailing his plans to embezzle from the consortium itself, to double-cross the very people he now claims to hold leverage over. His greed, it seems, knew no bounds, the final irrefutable proof that implicates him beyond any hope of redemption. The tension in the air is electric. We circle each other, predator and prey, in the confines of the stately office. His eyes fix on my phone. He knows it contains his undoing. He lunges, a desperate, clumsy attack. I sidestep, but he's surprisingly strong. We grapple, his fingers scrabbling for the phone. The crash of a priceless porcelain vase shattering on the marble hearth echoes the violence of our struggle. We stumble towards the large bay window, the city lights twinkling far below, a dizzying panorama of the empire I've reclaimed. He pins me against the heavy oak desk, his face inches from mine, his breath hot and rancid. I can hear gasps from the doorway. Miranda, Elise, my mother, James, frozen, watching. I taste blood metallic and sharp as my lip splits against the desk's edge, and as I do, I bite down hard, triggering the hidden panic alarm in the dental implant my consortium allies insisted upon, a silent signal. Suddenly, the lights in the entire building cut out, plunging us into absolute darkness. The darkness lasts only a moment. Then, emergency lights flicker on, casting long, eerie shadows. In that instant of disorientation, my personal security team, silent and efficient, materializes from the shadows. Vernon is subdued before he can even register what's happening. The cold, decisive click of handcuffs ratchets around his wrists, a final, definitive sound. The family, still clustered in the doorway, witnesses the full, ignominious end of Vernon Holloway. The man who manipulated them, who used them, who destroyed their legacy from within. He played you all, I say, my voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through me. I present the evidence of Vernon's deep-seated treachery, how he turned them against me, against each other, for his own gain. How he was responsible for my father's death, their patriarch. Miranda steps forward, her face a mask of dawning horror and dawning understanding. He told me Alexandra was unstable, she whispers, her voice cracking. He said she was a threat to the company, to father's legacy. She looks at me, true comprehension finally dawning. I'll testify, she says, her voice stronger now. I'll tell them everything I know about Vernon. A weight, one I hadn't even fully realized I was carrying, lifts from my shoulders. The primary villain, the architect of so much pain, is finally, irrevocably taken away. His threats, his manipulations, silenced. As the agents lead Vernon out, I make one final revelation, my voice carrying clearly in the suddenly quiet room. Despite everything, I say, looking directly at my remaining family, despite my initial plans for revenge, Phoenix Industries has, in the course of its acquisitions, inadvertently saved what was left of the Thorne family business from complete collapse. It is solvent. For now. The soft glow of the emergency lights casts long shadows across their faces. Shock, disbelief, and perhaps for the first time, a glimmer of respect. I am left alone with them, my family, for the first time since my death. The silence is deafening. The dam breaks. Elise is the first, collapsing into a heap on the antique Persian rug, choked sobs racking her body. He made me do it, she wails, tears streaming down her face. Vernon and James, they manipulated me. They said you were stealing from the company, that father was heartbroken. I never wanted, I swear, Alexandra. Miranda is next, her composure finally crumbling. I was so jealous, she confesses, her voice thick with unshed tears. Always so jealous of you. Father always preferred you. It twisted me up inside. And when you were gone, I thought it would be my chance. But it was empty, Alex. So empty. She speaks of her own suffering, the guilt, the paranoia, the hollowness of her stolen position. Even my mother, who has been a ghost in her own life for years, steps forward. She reaches out a trembling hand, her eyes, so like my own, filled with a pain that mirrors mine. The familiar scent of her expensive, slightly faded perfume brings an unexpected wave of childhood memories. a confusing jumble of love and neglect. My baby girl, she whispers, her voice barely audible. They told me. They told me you were gone. James, ever the opportunist, tries to edge his way back in. Alexandra, I discovered the truth too late, he claims, his voice slick with false sincerity. I tried to warn you, but Vernon had me watched. I was a prisoner too. Lies, all of it. Excuses, self-pity. The weight of their collective guilt, their desperate pleas, fills the room. They wait, expectant, hopeful for my response. Forgiveness. Reconciliation. A return to the way things were? I say nothing. Instead, I slowly, deliberately open a thin leather folio I've been carrying. Inside, a series of glossy photographs. Pictures taken by a private investigator weeks after my funeral. Pictures of them, Miranda, Elise, James, even my mother toasting each other with champagne at Thorne Manor. Smiling, laughing, celebrating, I lay the photos on the table one by one, their faces frozen in moments of callous relief, of triumphant greed. A stark, undeniable testament to their betrayal. The silence returns, heavier now, suffocating. I let the silence hang, let the images on the table do their work. Finally, I speak, my voice calm, devoid of the fury that once consumed me. The racing heartbeat, the gnawing anger, they're gone, replaced by a quiet, resolute clarity. I understand, I say, and perhaps in a way I do. I understand jealousy, ambition, weakness, fear. I understand the insidious ways Vernon manipulated them, but understanding is not absolution, and forgiveness is not an obligation. Their faces fall. Desperation turns to a dawning, bleak acceptance of the consequences of their actions. I am not the Alexandra you knew, I continue. That Alexandra died on a winding mountain road thanks to your collective choices. The woman standing before you is Lexa Hart. And Lexa Hart has learned the difference between family by blood and family by choice. I no longer seek revenge. That chapter is closed. But I will not welcome those who betrayed me so profoundly back into my life. I look at each of them in turn. No, I say, the words simple, unequivocal. I will not return. There is nothing left to return to. The soft click of my heels on the polished marble floor is the only sound as I walk towards the door. At the threshold, I pause. I turn back one final time. You will all be contacted by my lawyers regarding the future of Thorne Industries and your limited roles within it. Do not try to contact me directly again. Then I walk out, and I don't look back. The new corporate structure is unveiled swiftly. Thorne Industries, now a subsidiary of Phoenix Industries, is rebranded, restructured, rehabilitated. My leadership is absolute. My family members, as promised, are offered minor, non-executive roles, figureheads essentially, with strict oversight, no real power, and salaries that reflect their actual contributions, which is to say, very little. It's a fair, if distant, arrangement, a way to ensure they don't starve, but also a constant reminder of what they lost, what they threw away. The hum of renovations begins at the old Thorne headquarters, out with the stuffy, outdated opulence, in with sleek, modern efficiency. My father's former office, the one Vernon briefly, arrogantly occupied, is now mine, redecorated to my taste. Clean lines, modern art, a sense of light and space. The warmth of the afternoon sun streams through the newly installed panoramic windows as I take my rightful place, not as an heiress, but as a builder, an architect of my own destiny. One afternoon, exploring the depths of my father's old, built-in safe, a safe Vernon, for all his scheming, never managed to crack, I find a hidden compartment. Inside, another letter, not from my father, but addressed to him. From my mother, dated years ago before her descent into alcoholism, before his death. A letter filled with love, with dreams for their family, for me. A painful, poignant glimpse of what might have been. A reminder that even in the darkest betrayals, there are shades of gray, layers of forgotten history. The cemetery is quiet, the autumn leaves rustling under my feet. It's the first time I've visited my father's grave since my death. Standing there under the cool gray sky, I finally allow myself to grieve. Not just for him, but for the family I thought I had, for the innocence I lost. I understand his failures now, his blindness to the vipers in his own nest, but I also appreciate his love, the legacy he tried to leave me. I forgive him not for their actions, but for his own shortcomings. I accept the complicated, messy truth of our family. I place fresh flowers on the cold granite, white lilies, his favorite. Later, I meet with Martha, my savior, my confidant, my chosen mother. I've bought her a charming little cottage by the sea, not far from my own new home. A place where she can live out her days in comfort and peace, surrounded by her beloved roses. Her embrace is warm, genuine, a true homecoming. The engagement ring, the replica I kept as a bitter reminder, I return to James. Not in person, of course, by courier. With a short, unsigned note. I believe this belongs to you. May you find the happiness you deserve. There's no anger left, only a faint, lingering pity. The weight of the past, the heavy cloak of revenge, finally lifts. I walk away from the cemetery, from the final confrontation with James, feeling lighter, freer than I have in years. A week later, an invitation arrives, hand-delivered on heavy, cream-colored cardstock. The consortium. They're offering me a leadership position, a seat at their very exclusive, very powerful table. A new chapter, a new challenge. My new inner circle. Loyal employees who became friends, who knew Lexa Hart before they ever learned of Alexandra Thorne. Genuine connections, forged in the fires of creation and crisis, not in the cold calculus of bloodlines and obligation. We celebrate the continued success of Phoenix Industries, a success built on innovation and integrity, entirely separate from the tarnished Thorne legacy. There's laughter in my new home, a spacious, light-filled villa overlooking the ocean. The clink of glasses as we toast not to the past, but to the future. Mrs. Davison, the former director of the Children's Haven, now renamed the Phoenix Foundation, is a close confidant, a wise advisor, a cherished friend. Her presence is a constant reminder of the good that can rise from the ashes. I even adopted a cat. A sleek, black creature I found abandoned near my office, half-starved and wary. I named him Shadow. He curls up beside me now, a warm, purring symbol of my new beginning, of finding solace in unexpected places. These are the people who chose me and whom I chose in return. A family built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. The warmth of their embraces, the sincerity of their laughter, is a balm to old wounds. And then there's him. Unexpected, unforeseen. Someone who knew neither Alexandra Thorne the heiress nor Lexa Hart the avenger. Someone who simply sees me. A quiet architect I met at a gallery opening. Our conversations are easy, our laughter shared. It's new, tentative, but hopeful. A possibility I hadn't dared to imagine. I stand on the balcony of my coastal villa, the early morning sun warm on my face. My daily ritual, a cup of strong coffee, the vast expanse of the ocean stretching before me, the rhythmic crash of waves, a soothing soundtrack to my thoughts. Phoenix Industries is thriving, a testament to authentic leadership, to building something real and lasting. The salt spray kisses my skin. Occasionally, I see updates about the Thorne family, their continued struggles to adapt to their new, diminished reality. Fleeting news articles, society page whispers. I feel nothing. A distant echo from a life that no longer belongs to me. I walk along the beach, the cool sand between my toes. A recent magazine article described me as a visionary entrepreneur, a self-made woman. No mention of heiress. No hint of the scandal that once consumed my life. The peaceful silence of my new life is a precious gift. The grip of revenge, which once defined my every waking moment, has finally completely loosened. I am free. I turn my face towards the horizon, towards the rising sun. My scars, both visible and invisible, are still there. But they no longer define me. They are simply a part of my story, a testament to my survival, to my strength. And for the first time in what feels like a lifetime, I smile. A genuine, unburdened smile. The future is mine.